Hey, how's it going? Today we are going to check out Banette Gardevoir. Now, this deck was able to win the senior division at Louisville Regional, and Piper Lapine, I think she bubbled out of top 32 with it in the Masters division. She might have just had a worse record and gotten 38th, but I think there was a pretty big bubble at this tournament. So the idea is we use Banette EX to item lock our opponent for 1 psychic. 30, our opponent can't play items next turn, and then we just have the rest of the cards of the supporting cast. Like we have the Gardevoir to accelerate energy, and as like a attacker, and the Kirlia is also a draw engine, and we want to accelerate energy specifically with Gardevoir because it puts 2 damage counters on the Pokemon every time we attach an energy from our discard pile, and we can move the damage with the Munkidori. That says if it has a dark energy attached to it, move 30 damage from one of our Pokemon to one of our opponent's Pokemon. So if we get both Munkidori going, we can do 90 damage item lock every turn, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is extremely powerful. I have one of the memory skip Ralts in here. Most other people aren't playing that, but I like that as kind of a backup plan for decks like Charizard. If we make them retreat enough, they really won't be able to attack, because normally with this deck is just loses to Charizard if they get a Charizard out, but memory skip gives us a tiny little chance to win. We might need more than one, but I think playing too many 60 HP Pokemon right now can be a liability. We have the Puppet offering Banette to grab a supporter out of our discard pile, then we put it in the lost zone. We have Alakazam that moves 2 damage counters from one of our opponent's Pokemon to another one of their Pokemon. We can use this to lock something in the active, so that it takes us longer to knock it out, because we'll only effectively be doing 10 damage a turn after we move the other 20 damage. We have Mew for a little bit of draw, and we can also sometimes attack with it. We can copy Greninja, Raging Bolt, things like that. Well, we can copy anything, but it is nice for the draw and for retreat and all that too. We have Spiritomb to help against Charizard and Lugia, and really anything that relies on Rotom or Lumineon. The only really new card in this deck is Gravity Gemstone. It gives our active and our opponent's active 1 more retreat cost. This is great for locking things in the active. It can also let us put a little more damage on our board, because we can retreat off 3 energy where normally we'd only be able to retreat off 2 energy. So that is nice. And yeah, then we just have the rest of the cards to try and set up as consistent as possible and dig through the deck. Now that is the list. Let's get into the games. Alright, so we are up against Trapagos this game. I have a good enough start here. It's really good as far as getting basics into play goes, but I don't really have anything else in my hand. Like, I'm probably not going to be able to attack next turn. I have the Banette and the Psychic Energy, so if I top deck a Psychic or any way to draw cards, I should be good to go, but if I just top deck a Brick, then yeah, just can't do anything. But I'm debating if I should get anything else with this Poffin. I decide not to, because if I top deck a Mew or something like that, I want to be able to put it down, which maybe I shouldn't even have benched the Shuppet, so I could bench Alakazam and the Mew, but we're here now, and I kind of wanted to have 3 Shuppets down because most Hoot decks are playing Dusknoir, and yeah, I was worried about them wiping my field. But they can't do it this turn anyway, so maybe I should have just held the Poffin. The odds of them Ionoing me are pretty low. But my opponent gets a pretty solid start here. It looks like they don't have a stadium, so they can't fill up their bench all the way, but yeah, we top deck nothing. That sucks. That is going to allow my opponent to get at least a Pidgeot out, and I think this matchup gets a lot harder when they have Pidgeot out, obviously, because they can grab double turbos for retreat every turn. They can get their draw supporters to actually draw more cards. They can find their Pokemon that they need. I don't know if they're going to actually be playing a Dusclops, the middle evolution, but it could allow them to evolve into Dusclops and then Dusknoir. It is a real problem. And it looks like this turn they just grab something with their Pidgeot, and they get Research and Area 0. They have the Bouffalants, and I'm going to be honest, I almost conceded the game as soon as I saw that, but I thought about it a little more, and I think, yeah, they benched the Blood Moon here, which is like, alright, so yeah, I definitely have a win condition now, so I stay into the game. I'm surprised they didn't just grab Prime Catcher and double turbo, like Pidgeot for double turbo, grab Prime Catcher with the second Hoo-Hoo or Noctowl, and they'd be good to go. So I top deck an Iono, so that is pretty lucky. Now I can Ultra Ball away the Poffins, grab a Kirlia, and trade away a Psychic, then retreat and start item locking. And yeah, once this deck plays so many item cards, I think they have 21, I believe. 21 item cards, so that's a third of their deck. They're not going to be able to play. That puts us in a good spot. And we can damage the Noctowl because it's not a basic. Now, at first I was thinking, how in the world am I ever going to beat this deck when I can't do any damage to their attacker? But it turns out, I think benching the Bouffalants was a mistake on their part. Because now I can trap something forever, and like Item Lock loves being able to trap things. Normally the problem is that you knock out the Pokemon too fast, but now I'm doing 0, so I can trap something active while using Munkidori to knock out the bench. So that is pretty cool. I'm just debating here if I want to trade before research, because I would really like to find a boss's order, but I end up deciding that getting this Banette knocked out wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Also, I can just retreat it with the Gardevoir, so that will be fine. I do end up getting Prime Catcher though, so I can try and start locking something in the active. I don't know, it's debatable if that's correct or not, because I could just retreat and hit into this, or item lock them, and let them take, or I could just not retreat, I mean, and let them take 2 prizes to activate my counter catcher, but I do end up retreating. This will buy me time to move damage onto the opponent's bench. And this is where you really see just how strong this deck is. And I think I make a mistake here. I should just put the 30 on the Duskull to force them to go get our Dusclops. And I also think I probably should have played down the Artazon. I was thinking about that afterwards, and I don't know why I didn't play it down. I was thinking that they'd get rid of a damage thing, but I only have 30 damage on the field, so it really would be irrelevant if that were the case. So I probably should have played that first and seen what they got rid of. I doubt they'll get rid of their Terapagos, because then they're just completely bench locked out of attackers. Well, no, they're not, because they would have the Duskull, but if they got rid of Terapagos and Duskull, because I don't think that they actually do play a Dusclops, it doesn't seem like. So I play it first thing this turn to see what they get rid of, but like I was saying, if they got rid of the Terapagos, they'd be board locked unless they also had a Dusclops to knock out that Pokemon, because they'll never be able to get a Terra Pokemon in play. I would never knock anything out until I'm taking all my prizes, so they'd never be able to put a Terra Pokemon in play until I win the game, basically. But yeah, now I just start moving damage over, and I think this really shows how strong Item Lock is right now. Like, I just have a list here of the top decks from the Louisville Regional and how many items they were playing. First place had 25 items, second place had 31 items, third had 26 items, fourth and fifth had 21, and of course Lugia only plays 10, but all the other decks play like a low to mid 20s, and then some decks even play half of their deck as item cards. So Banette is going to be shutting off like half of a lot of decks, which is pretty insane. Now I'm thinking about Ionoing here, and I do end up playing it. I don't know, I want to just make it so that I have the smallest amount of options possible, and I'm gonna be able to almost like get pretty close to healing this Banette of a lot of damage. And my opponent also was adding a lot of cards to their hand with Pidgeot, so I don't know what they could have, but I didn't want them to have like some big combo turn that completely screws me over. But it looks like I might have just gotten them into literally the exact 2 cards they want, but that is fine, because now they only have 1 double turbo left, and they're down a fire energy, so I don't think that they're playing a jet energy. I really don't know what the fire energy could be for, but maybe it's just like a type of energy to attack with Rotom. Maybe they play a Radiant Charizard, that's also possible, but Blood Moon and Charizard kind of do similar things, so I don't know. But yeah, I get into the counter catcher, so now I could just bring the Blood Moon back up. I could bring up the Boufflant. It really doesn't matter, because my opponent, like, they also, by keeping their Bouffalants, they didn't really see what was going to happen in the game when I bumped their stadium. So now I really never want to bump their stadium again, because they could just get rid of a Bouffalant and then make it so I would eventually knock out whatever Pokemon's active and they'd be able to just start swinging. But I am also pretty close to just being able to start swinging with Gardevoir EX to take my prize cards. I just want to take 2 prizes, and yeah, I want to take at least 2 prizes first so that Gardevoir can take 4 prizes in the 2 attacks. So I'm going to end up knocking out this Terrapagos with the double turbo on it. Like I said, they're down 3 double turbos already. So yeah, the game is pretty much won at this point. When I was watching Pipo Lapine's game, or Lapine, I don't remember how her name's supposed to be pronounced, but she would probably, I think, start going aggressive right now, like go Iono Guardy attack right now. But even my Guardy's only doing 130, so it's not like one-shotting anything. And I'm not playing a best of 3 game in a tournament. I don't really see the need to go super aggressive before I'm guaranteed to win. Like, I just don't think they're going to be able to ever move this Pokemon again. And even if they do move it, they'd have to move it 3 times for it to matter. So I'm not worried about it. I can just play a safe and slow game. It is a little bit tedious and it does take a long time, but I can just set up for like a 6 prize turn, or just take 2 prizes and then set up for a 4 prize turn. They do drop a Thornton on me and their last double turbo. So this puts them in a weird spot where now they're just giving me Munkidori damage and making my win condition a little faster. But I panic a little bit here and start looking for boss's order. And I was pretty confident that I already had a boss in the discard pile. That's why I used the Banette. And you see, I'm realizing there is no boss in there. So now I'm going to use Trekking Shoes to try and dig for a boss. I don't know why I panicked so much here. What I was worried about though is them being able to just retreat and knock out my guy with their Terrapagos. But what I didn't really think about was that if they retreat and knock out my guy with Terrapagos, I can just knock them out with my Gardevoir and they're out of energy completely. Yeah, and there's pretty much nothing they can do. I don't think that they play a Silene or Roseanne's backup or anything like that. And that should have been entirely evident by them attacking again with the Fan Rotom and not retreating. That's like basically them saying, if I retreat, I know I can get one shot by the Guardies, so I don't want to do that because I'll be out of energy. But I was a little worried because I didn't have my other Munkidori. So if I had the 2 Munkidori, I could just move all the damage every turn and it'd be no big deal. And I fast forwarded it now a little more because, yeah, I'm basically just going to win the game. And this is kind of how these matchups go against these decks that have just so many item cards. You're really just attaching energy, retreating back and forth using Munkidori. And I definitely could just start attacking right now, but I don't want to give them access to items and be able to do something weird with Blood Moon or Ursaluna or something like that. I figure this is one of those things, like I'm basically guaranteed to win this way. I don't think they can do anything. I can't imagine a card that they would be able to play that would let them win the game as long as I keep this Boufflant in the active. And it's really just a couple extra turns. I do mess up a little bit and forget that I'm going to knock out the active Pokemon at the end of this sequence. So I put damage on the Noctowl. I didn't need to do that. But yeah, this is kind of how this matchup goes. And I throw the Gravity Stone on one of my Banettes so that I can attach 3 energy and retreat all them off and move more damage. I Iono them just because I was about to deck out basically, and they had a pretty big hand, so why not? So yeah, just retreat back and forth and move the damage. I don't know, this deck is really cool. It's not really a control deck, but it kind of is when games go like this. Like, they can't do anything, so I guess they're controlled, but you're taking all of your prizes is your win condition. And this person really just doesn't give up, which is kind of surprising. I would have scooped because they can't do anything and they're about to lose the game. As soon as they, like, maybe one of their daily challenges was play 2 games without conceding. But yeah, I don't know. I really should have like just tried to use the Banette to knock out here just for the memes. I just double read the text on the thing, make sure that I am taking a knockout, and take the last prize and win the game. Now, I think that is one of the best parts about Banette right now, is if that matchup is going to be popular. That seems like a really good matchup. I think also the Boufflant actually helps out Banette, so people might figure that out. And like if they got rid of one of their Boufflants when I played that stadium down, I would have knocked out that that active Boufflant way sooner, or I would have knocked it out after 4 attacks, right? So then they would have been able to promote their Terapagos and start attacking. I don't think it would have mattered at that point, but yeah, it seems good in theory, because you're like, oh, my opponent's doing 0 damage, but it really doesn't help. It's kind of like the Sob Ogre pun, where doing the 20 damage actually hurts you, so you put the double turbo on it so you can retreat lock them for 0 damage so you never knock them out. It's kind of like that with the item lock. In that case, I can just keep something active forever. But yeah, try this deck out for yourselves. A lot of fun. Yeah, Banette's one of my favorite cards. I really enjoy playing it. I've only tried to play it once or twice in real life. Haven't had luck yet, but I think it seems like the format's a bit better for this version of Banette, and it's a little more consistent with the Kirlias and everything. So I'm definitely going to be trying this out probably the next time I go to locals. Also because I don't really have the cards for any other deck. But yeah, like or dislike, comment, and subscribe. Take care and have a good one.